'Tis the season for frivolous copyright infringements on Etsy. This is an unfortunate part about selling on the Etsy platform, and that you can get copyright infringements filed against you if you use someone else's intellectual property, or even if someone thinks you used their intellectual property. So I wanted to make this video today so you know what to do if you actually get a copyright infringement filed against your shop, how to file them against someone else if your designs get stolen, and how to best try and avoid getting any copyright infringements against your shop. And please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you've been enjoying my content so far. I really appreciate everyone's support. First, if you're not familiar with what a copyright is a type of intellectual property that protects the original works of authorship as soon as the author fixes the work in a tangible form of expression. So essentially, as soon as you create and post a t-shirt design, which is what I teach here on my channel, you now own the copyright to that exact work of art. So you don't actually own those words, you just own those words in that font, in that layout, in that exact color. This is different from a trademark, where someone actually claims that they own the intellectual property to a set of words, regardless of the font, the color, or the layout of those words. So you still need to check trademarks before making any designs in your store to make sure you're not infringing on trademarks first. I will post the link to the video I have in the description that shows you exactly how and where to check for trademarks on uspto.gov. So make sure to check out that video if you're not familiar with trademarks and you're selling shirts online, since that is an important piece of it as well. So let's start with how to avoid getting copyright infringements. So people can still report you even if they feel like you are infringing on their intellectual property, but there's a few things you can do to try and avoid it in the future the best you can. The number one way to make sure that you avoid copyright infringement is if you go to Etsy and you see something that's a best-selling design and you want to make your own version of it and sell it as well, you can first check for those trademarks, and if it's not trademarked, you can go ahead and make your own version. But just changing one of the colors or changing the font to a tiny bit different but a really similar font and keeping everything else the same isn't enough of a change to make someone feel like you're not just ripping off their design. You want to try and actually make large changes so the design looks very different from the original. The other reason you want to do this is so you actually stand out in the search results. A lot of people are going to go to Etsy and they're going to copy almost exactly all of the bestsellers' designs, but then when you look up those keywords, you just see a sea of similar designs in the search results, and that's not going to help you get noticed or seen by customers. So a great way to not do this is to do a completely different looking design that is maybe not shown on that first page of results. So if all of the results in the search results are white text or black text, you could try and do colorful text, or vice versa if it was the same. Try and find some way to stand out and look different and unique from what's already in that search result. Some other really important ways to avoid getting copyright infringements in the future is to avoid using things that are copyrighted by a certain company as well. So for instance, smiley faces. The traditional circle with two eyes and a smile is owned by the Smiley Corporation. So you want to avoid using any of these traditional smiley faces within your designs. Another thing that gets a lot of people in trouble is sports teams' logos. You can't do any type of logo from a sports team or any type of company. That includes things like Coca-Cola's font for their logo. You can't just use that font and change the words and have it not be infringing on their intellectual property. Things like the little check mark from Nike are copyrighted. So if you avoid using anything that makes it look like it's from that brand, you'll have a much better time as well. Now let's go over what to do if you do get a notification saying that you have a copyright infringement. So what's going to happen if somebody reports your listing or listings for copyright infringement is Etsy is going to take these listings down from your shop and they're going to show deactivated within your inactive listings. It'll say deactivated by Etsy, and you'll get an email explaining what happened, and it'll tell you exactly who reported you. It's going to have their name, their email, and it'll even have a link to the listing that they're saying that you copied. Now, if you infringed on something like Coca-Cola or a sports team, you might just want to eat this one and learn from your mistakes and move on with your business. But if you really don't think that you were infringing on someone's property, which unfortunately this does happen, people think your design is just a little bit too close to yours, and so they go ahead and report you for copyright infringement, even if you weren't infringing on their design. In these cases, you do want to fight them 100% of the time to make sure that you don't get a mark against your store. There's no exact amount of copyright and trademark infringements that you can get on your shop to get it closed, but I do know that if you get too many within a short amount of time, they will close your Etsy shop. And so you do want to make sure that you fight any that you think are not right and you don't agree with. That way these get taken down from your shop. Within the email that you get from Etsy, you're going to see an exact link of where to file a counter DMCA notice. It's just going to have 4 or 5 quick questions getting you to verify that you believe in good faith that your design is not infringing on theirs. And then this goes back to them for 10 business days and gives them the opportunity to actually file a lawsuit against you. Again, I know that sounds scary, but unless you're actually infringing on a big brand or something, most people aren't actually going to file a lawsuit, especially if they're a smaller Etsy shop as well, and especially if you weren't really infringing on their design. So then after those 10 business days, you'll be able to go into your inactive bin on Etsy and they'll no longer say deactivated by Etsy, and you can go ahead and relist them for sale within your store. You can also sometimes reason with the person who reported you. You will get their information in their email, and you could email them your case and see if they'll take down the infringements against you for whatever reason that you seem fit. And sometimes people are really understanding if you accidentally say purchased a stolen design, for instance. Another reason to make sure that you fight every possible copyright infringement is that when you get a copyright or trademark infringement against your shop, Etsy actually goes ahead and places your account on payment reserves, which means that they keep a percentage of each payment until the item actually ships and is on its way to the customer. So there ends up being a lag in the amount of time that it takes you to get your payments from Etsy. And this will go on for 90 days unless you fight that copyright infringement. Then that payment reserve will be lifted after the 10 business days. Lastly, let's go over what to do if someone steals your designs and you want to go ahead and report them for copyright infringement. You've got the same options that they did. You can go ahead and message the person and let them know that you're going to be reporting them for copyright if they don't take it down within 24 hours. Or you can go ahead and just file the notice. So to file a copyright notice against someone's listing, you'd go to the listing that's infringing, you'd scroll all the way to the bottom on the right and say report this listing to Etsy. There is where you can select that they are infringing on your intellectual property without your permission, and you'll go ahead and say that in good faith you believe they're infringing on your design and you'd like to file the notice against them. And here it'll explain the exact same thing, where the other person will have 10 business days to counter the notice, and then you can either file a suit against them or these listings will go right back up. Again, you don't want to report someone if their listing is just a little bit similar to yours, just has the same words but looks completely different, for instance. That's something that you would need to have trademarked to really have a mark on. But if someone literally copy and paste, steals your design, or even just saves your listing photo as theirs, sometimes people will even copy your actual mock-up photo with your logo and design on it and everything and sell it within their own store. So those are the ones that are definitely worth reporting to make sure that they stop ripping people off and selling stolen designs. So in closing, make sure that you fight all copyright infringements that you think are frivolous against your store. Again, if you infringe on a brand like Spider-Man, then don't go ahead and fight that one, since the Spider-Man franchise has lots of lawyers and they will sue you at the end of those 10 days. But fight any that you can, because you don't want to get too many infringements against your shop within a small amount of time and end up losing your Etsy store. And remember to always try to be honest and unique with your designs to try and avoid having this problem at all in the future anyways. I hope this video was super helpful for you this holiday season if you end up getting any copyright infringements against your store. And again, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe if you got value from today's video, and we'll see you in the next one.